So tonight we're going to talk about REYR problems and how they manifest in the AUXDATA system. And Joey Taguding is going to lead it for us. So Joey, take it away.
Excellent. Can I share screen there? Let's try it. Can you enable for me there, Roland?
I'll do that. Okay.
Coming up. All right, let's
Okay.
do this. Let's see what I got here. All right, first thing I'm going to do is bring up that, let's see what we got here. I think when Roland sent this meeting invite out, he also included this little document that you see here. Make it bigger. And basically, it's a set of steps or guidance on how to fix the issue that's been popping up recently. What's been happening is in December, they made some enhancements to AUXDATA II, and that set a lot of people up in REYR. What happened is we have some records that were already out in AUXDATA II where folks were already missing something related to this AQ approval PCO task record. And that's all we're talking about tonight, folks. I'll show you, I'll do some AUXDATA II stuff and I'll walk you through some of this. But what you're gonna have to do is, I've been talking with the help desk, and here's some action that every district coordinator is gonna have to get involved with. And basically it's making this fix through your DIROCs or their designated representative, their designated person who can make these changes. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. Let's see. So if you haven't been approached, there's a list of people that went into REYR. See if I can bring up some reports, and I'll show you some reports in a bit. This is a report that Guy produced, and it's on the AUXDATA II system.
So does everybody know? I'm assuming at least one person here probably doesn't know what REYR is. So that's basically when you're no longer qualified, that one of your qualifications is lapsed, and so you have to get recertified.
Okay.
For Paddlecraft Operator.
I will show that to you as soon as I get this thing back together here. Let me see if I can do that without screwing it up. Oh, I got you. All right, so this report that Guy has, and I'll show it to you in just a minute. And every now and then I'm gonna minimize things, and I have to go back to my AUXDATA screen and refresh. If you don't refresh, you lose it. It logs you off, and that's a painful process in itself. But this report here that Guy produced for us has a list of, you'll notice that if it's too small, let me know.
It's small.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it a little bigger and slide it over.
Small.
I got a second laptop that I'm staring at things. So Matt Smith, you see here on the first line, see this column, AQ approval PCO? That's the troublemaker. Now folks may be in REYR because of other things, like the exam rules, you're out of REYR. Basically, REYR means you're beyond your expiration date. Donna touched upon it earlier tonight when she said we have to requalify every 3 years. So there's a 3-year time frame when we have to check all the things that makes us certified. And this little animal here, this AQ approval PCO, this record existed in AUXDATA II, but I'll show you in a minute, as I found out that there are quite a few of us that were in AUXDATA II before the enhancement. It was just missing this record. So all the folks, or most of the folks that you see with this AQ approval PCO in red, those are the folks that are in REYR because of this. Let's see if I scroll down. And here's some other, I scrolled down past the D5 South, since that's the district I'm at and Rollins at and Guy's at. And you can see a few folks down here in 8, a few folks in 7, Well, no, all 7's been cleared, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But there's some other folks in 8, other folks in 9 that are still in REYR because of this AQ approval PCO. Now, a lot of folks get this confused because they think, well, their PQS is in green. That's kind of the overall, that's the day or the your qualification standard that you got signed off and what you went for, and it's all good. This right here means the qualifier. Some of us auxiliarists are the qualification examiner. That's when they got approval to become or qualify as a Paddlecraft Operator. That's what the old PCO stood for. Now it's Paddlecraft Operator PDLO. So that's just the legacy. So that's our issue. That's our troublemaker. That's what we're focused on, folks. So
Joey, just to clarify, this it's not just AUXPAD qualifiers that are affected, right?
It is not. Let me bring you up another spreadsheet that I had run.
Yeah, that list was only operators.
Your list, yeah, Guy's list was just operators. There's another list that I can bring up.
Only AQs on it. Yeah.
And this one, Guy and I have been working on this for a while now. And this spreadsheet that I ran up, it has both the operators you see in this column, and the QEs, the qualification engineer examiners. As you can see, Don Rice, a few folks know Don Rice. Jane Bales, I was hoping that she'd be on tonight. It shows her in REYR as well. So it affects anybody within the AUXPAD program. Actually, it affected even the boat crew. And so those folks that are boat crew or a coxswain, it probably impacted them too, because this enhancement affected this missing record, which was already in AUXDATA II. Once they turned on the enhancement, everybody with that missing task that I will show you in a minute came up red. So that's what we're looking at, folks. So it's not just.
Is this for so does that indicate a re-certification? Basically, the other column was the initial certification with the PQS.
All right, let me bring that up. They go hand in glove, and Donna, you kind of hit it. When you recertify, your QE is going to have to do this and fill it out. But there's a task associated with that, and that is this. So both of them have to be done together in combination, because the PQS has to be done. But when the QE says the date that your PQS is finished and you're all good, we have to put it in for, because this stands for when the QE approved that individual to become a PDLO. So, and that's usually done at the time the PQS is generated, finished, all that sort of thing. So, and let me show you what I'm talking about in AUXDATA II. For those folks that don't know AUXDATA II, this right here, and I'll blow it up a little bit. This is the reports. And if you go into the reports, you go to the home page, you go to the more section, you do reports. And once you get into reports, you can do all reports and do things like search. And you can do like PDLO. And that brings up all the report names that have PDLO and who it's done by, created on, and all that other sort of thing. But then you can run it. So this is the one that Guy ran for all the REYR PDLO. And if you notice, Roland was doing it, I was doing it. We're all trying to figure out this piece. So you run it, you give it a few minutes, listen to the Jeopardy theme. And it starts putting out this stuff about who's in REYR, what their competency is, and you can play with this, folks. Now, here's the caveat. If you start playing with these reports, I'm going to ask you to save as, because if you save, it overrides the existing report. You do a save as, give it a different name, It'll save it under you, and you can play with it all you want. Now, whoever's the AUXDATA II expert, I expect the Paddlecraft Operator class in the next month or so to be able to go through this and talk about reports. I see Donna smiling, so I have a volunteer. All right. So let's say you go through all this and you say, all right, we have some issues. Well, I have some records here that, let me show you a decent record, a good record. And I'm going to bring up one of my first victims. And folks that aren't aware of it, you click on the members and it fills in this list when you start playing. So I'm going to grab up Mr. McDevitt. Mr. McDevitt had let's see, underneath related, we go down to competencies. And I'm going to go down to AUXPAD Operator. Everybody with me?
Mm-hmm.
All these tasks on the right-hand side. I'm going to click View All because you get a better picture, a better idea of it. See this thing here, AQ approval and AUXPAD PQS. Remember we talked about that? PQS is that one-time deal, all right? He last completed it 2018. They usually go hand in glove, like I said, but what might happen, and your mileage may vary, it all depends on how your district does it, and our districts differ because we can. So just for kicks, we're going to go into his PCO. His AQ approved him to become Paddlecraft Operator. The last time was August 22nd, or 2022. So I click on this number, or better yet, everybody see that it was in green. The only thing he's missing at the moment is the workshop for operations. So this is where you can go see all the stuff that you're good at. It's the GAR for AUXDATA II. Everybody know what green, amber, and red is, right? All right. So going into his approval, I'm going to jump down. This is his task, AQ approval PCO. Folks take a look at this and they think it's for every year. But let me show you where it shows that it's actually every 3 years. In this competency task lookup, we're going to jump down. And unfortunately, AUXDATA II is layer upon layer upon layer. So you got to dive deep. And when you dive deep, you see that the check ride to become AUXPAD approval, Paddlecraft Operator, is annual, but the cycle time is every 36 months. There go, whereby every 3 years. All right. So I'm going back. I'm going to go back up the scenario, back to his Paddlecraft Operator record. I call it a record. You'll hear people use member competency task. If you look right here, last completed 2022, it expires. And here's the question. Even though our handbook says it's 3 years, some folks have been rolling it to the end of December. So instead of it being an anniversary, some of the folks are pushing it to the end of the year. Some folks are keeping it to the anniversary date. And our districts differ. I don't know at some point if we have to come up with a ruling, but some districts say it's the end of the year and some folks say it's the anniversary date. So watch out for those when you start playing with this thing. All right, so his is good. And let me show you the magic button or the magic secret sauce, why it's good. Because when this was created back in 2022, somebody, the DIROCs, had the wherewithal to enter in this task member right here at the very bottom of this record. The AUXPAD Operator approval. Somebody entered in a record called task member, and I'm going to click on it. And our DIROC's OTO is John Murphy. He modified it in 2022. The last activity date was August. And we're diving even deeper. This task is where the magic happens. This activity underneath that task shows you that John Murphy entered this AUXDATA II record back in August 2022, completion date. Here's some things I want you to pay attention to because it'll come up and I'll mention again. When I say our OTO, he's in DIROX. This is a DIROX task capture in a task capture activity log. I'll point out that difference in a few minutes. So anyhow, our OTO made this entry. It's quite possible that your DIROX designee can make the same entry. So this is a good record. So Roland McDevitt, myself, Mark Morositz, and a few others had this record existing before the enhancement. And so when the enhancement was implemented, we were golden. We were okay.
Hey,
Let me show
Joey.
you once again where that record, you can see where that was entered. So the AQ approval PCO, we're in that record I call. The very bottom of it, this task member exists. If it does not exist, you are flagged as in REYR. All right, so I showed you a good one.
Hey, Joey.
Yes, sir.
I think I have a suspicion about what happened on that record with
Yep.
Murphy. I think that was when he first came to District 5.
Yep.
And when he arrived, we had an AUXPAD Academy in the spring. We had
Yep.
certified each other.
Yep.
Submitted the records.
Yep.
And we were without an OTO for a month. And then
Yep.
when he arrived, he went on paternity leave for
Yep.
like 2 months.
Yep.
And it looks to me like what happened when he got back from paternity leave, it got entered in the system, and that's the date that we have.
And exactly, your date may not be that specific date that activity happened at.
Yep.
Because all the paperwork gets shuffled up, puts in. It may be days later, weeks later. So, Donna, your question about when's my money coming? The same question could apply. When's my certification coming? It's coming. But yours is a good record, Roland, because of this task member that you see here. When OTO Murphy entered it in, he entered it in appropriately. And let's stick with John Murphy, with OTO Murphy, because recently, let me show you a bad record or one that needs fixing. The Hostetters. Hostetters are husband-wife team that became AUXPAD qualified in last year, just in this recently, June, July. Let me bring up Joe. Same deal, folks. I go into his record. I go into the related. I come down to competencies. I see his AUXPAD operator. Shows he's in REYR, June 29th. I know that day, and I picked that day because that's my birthday. All right. So we look, here's his record, and see all his stuff right here. I'm going to jump to it so that you get a better look at it. The first record, AQ approval, PCO, it's in red. It's a PQS. I submitted the PQS on the same time I submitted it involves his PCO because I approved his Paddlecraft competency. So his PQS and PCO should be the same date. So his PQS is good. And look, June 29th. So I'm going to click on this approval PCO. All right. I'm in his record. I'm going to dive all the way down. Like I said, this thing's missing. It's not there. Pretty much that's the trigger that happened on all of this. Okay. Here's the fix. Let me show you a record that was fixed. All right. And I'm going to pick on Julie Carey. I don't think Julie Carey's here because Julie Carey was one of the first ones that brought this up in early February with us when we started researching it, late January, whenever it was. Julie Carey, I'm going to jump into her related. I'm going to jump down to her competencies. And I apologize for the repetition, but it's good. It's good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to look at all her competencies. Jump down through until you see AUXPAD operator. Right? It shows that she's certified. Somebody fixed it. Somebody did something. So I'm going to jump into her competencies so you can see it. PCO approval, green. PQS, green. PQS was February 2022. And look, her last competency date was 2023, December 31st. Because the person that fixed it plugged in that date. Let me show you how it was done. So we're in a record. Notice there again the dates. 12/31 with the expiry 12/26, 3 years. Okay. Let's jump all the way to the bottom. Somebody added in this record. Let's take a look. You got the activity date. You got a completed date. Let's jump into the task. And I'm just diving deeper down the rabbit hole. 12/31/2023 is when Robert Hines, Commodore Hines, who is a DIROX designee, fixed this record. I'm going to click on this activity. Kids are good at this because kids, like any other video game, they will click on everything on this screen. And that's what I did when I was looking through this thing. Click on. As soon as your arrow goes to a hand, you know, as soon as your cursor goes to a hand, you can click on it and dive deeper. Now, notice that Robert Hines, February 21, a month ago, he fixed this record. He gave Julie Carey that missing piece. So he plugged it in. And this is what it looks like, folks. It's DIROX task capture. And it's a task capture activity. Take a look at the screen and I'll show you some differences in just a moment. It's been a while. Let me click on, no, I can't click on that. Watch, I'm going to do some smoke and mirrors. Pay attention very closely. If I go up to this tab, can you see where I'm at this tab?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm going to right click. I'm going to duplicate the tab. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because then I have two active tabs going in AUXDATA II. In the second tab, I'm going to jump back to a record that was broken. And the one that was broken was Jane Bales. Go back to Jane Bales because I want to show you the comparison between the two. Go back into her Paddlecraft Operator competencies. And I don't expect you all to memorize this tonight, but feel free to call me anytime. 555-1212. So Jane Bales is broken, all right? Oh, and she's missing, all right? So that's the deal. Remember I showed you that, okay? So that's Jane Bales. And I showed you that Julie Carey was fixed. So if you're seeing June Bales, that's broken. All right. The other thing I'm going to show you with the second task is, let me slow down. Julie Carey's is fixed properly. All right. Donna, I'm going to pick on you. And the reason I'm going to pick on you is because I need to have a conversation. I was directed to have DIROX or a DIROX designee fix this issue. I know with your record and Don Rice and a few others in D7, we have to work out, but I want to point that out now because I don't know if it's going to raise its head. Let me show you what I'm talking about so that you, I, and Charles can have a conversation. Where are you at, Donna? Right here, right? So I showed you broken records. I showed you our records that were good from the get-go, broken records, those that were properly fixed, and those that, and now we're coming into records that I'm not sure if they're entirely copacetic. Donna Hornsby, I'm going to pick on you. We're going to go to your related. Because you were originally missing your task. Oxpad operator. I'm jumping down into it. They're all green because your task was also fixed. Okay. See this approval PCO. You expired July 31st, or expired, your last completed. And your next task 2 date. Let me show you. Clicking on your PCO. Notice your task completed. Last time was 2021. But your expiration date is now 12/31, end of this year. Remember why I showed you that it's a 3-year cycle, right? Let's go all the way down to your task member. Somebody put in your task member. Your task member was entered in March 2nd, 2024. Your task member was approved on March 2nd. So your activity date was still 2021. Let's go into your task. There again, your activity task date still July 31st. It was created March 2nd, just recently. Let's take a look at that activity. Now, the other tab I still have open, right? And that was a one that was done according to what the help desk designated me or directed us to do. Notice that it says it's a record type DIROX task captured, okay? And the difference between yours and that one is yours is a unit individual. So even though it may have been temporarily fixed, I don't know if this activity log record, and notice the differences here. See all the fields. Okay, this is for DIROX. This is the one that was an activity, individual activity log that was recently created March 2nd. What I'm saying is I don't know if it's going to flag again at the end of the year. And so you'll be right back where you start. I don't know. But I was directed by the help desk, Terry Hickox at the help desk, to make sure someone from DIROX does this or their DIROX designee. If you notice, I'm going to toggle between the two. This one's a good one for Julie Carey. Now I go back and notice these fields, okay? I go back to yours. Notice how they look a little differently. Yours is a 99D. This one is not.
So are we supposed to be submitting a help ticket?
And that's
this?
every district has a different flavor. That's why that cheat sheet that I put out, you should be coordinating this through your DSOIS. Your DSOIS should put you either they can have a designee make the change or put it through to the DIROX, the OTO. So those are just some districts are going to behave a little differently. And I'm bringing this up because I think a few folks, I was told by the help desk that one Northern are all fixed, and it looks like everyone in D7 is all fixed. But I want to make sure they're fixed properly is what we want to do. So do you understand what I'm pointing out? And we can run through this again individually, but this is good exercise so that everybody sees what I'm talking about, so that they can see that I was told specifically to have a DIROX, so your OTO or a DIROX designee. Commodore Hines here was in this this district who could enter DIROX level and make this addition. And if you notice, this DIROX task capture, if you look at all the different subtasks that we started jumping down to, you can see where each one of these has those fields. They have, when you add the task, it's the AQ approval. When they type the member and task capture, it's the PQ approval thing. So you can see that within this DIROX task capture. If we go into this 99D, let's see if it looks up the same stuff. It has it, but I don't know if an FSOIS or a SOIS has the ability to enter those information in. So I don't know. It may be fixed permanently. I truly do not know, but there you have the knowledge in case it pops up again.
Have you talked to Chuck? Because I mean, I haven't looked at my record. I didn't know whether it was fixed, not fixed, because I've been busy working. So I guess my question is, how did it get, did he submit a help ticket, or
If you look at you individually, he is actually the one that fixed it.
Okay, because then that's what, I mean, I'm only seeing the name there. So I guess my question is, and I see he's not on the call tonight, so I'll reach out separately or whatever and
If you
figure
want,
out.
we could set up a different conference call with the three of us. I don't mean to beat up Charles or anything. This is a good, so that other folks can see the differences in what has been directed to me by the help desk and other DIROCs or other districts and how they're fixing them. I don't know if it's the cure. So
Right, well, that's my question. I'm wondering if Chuck reached out to our DIROCs and that's the instructions that he was given. You know, to find out at what level, because it's all at a level above me. So that we figure out what is going on, because if that's what they told him to do, then the next question is want to make sure that it doesn't flag again, and that whenever, I mean, obviously we're all coming up within within our division, whenever we redo it, then I'm going to make sure that both of those, if I'm the one that's teaching the class, then both of those dates are going to be submitted so that it does get put in and updated for the future.
I was directed by Terry Hickox at the National Help Desk. So this is what he was telling us. And he collaborated with the DIROC's designee in One Northern. So I know that because when I brought this to his attention, he told me to wait a day because they're working on processes and procedures. And that's the challenge with what we do, is getting the message to everyone to make sure we're following the standard, same SOP basically. And this is important to push to your members so that they are aware when these things show up, because I'm not saying that as coordinators, we shouldn't be aware of it, but our members need to get in here too and poke around and understand what's happening. So, so that's my spiel. I'm going to go back to, that little letter that was sent out earlier about how to fix and going forward. So every Paddlecraft coordinator, that's why I highlight it, must be entered by DIROCs or their designated representative. And your mileage may vary. They may have a different approach within your district. For all I know, Charles could be a DIROCs designee. I don't know for sure. And if you notice, the record types were different. So I don't know if that needs to be taken care of as well. The other thing about that is some of our folks are shown as REYR within the AQ approval task because they have gone beyond their date. They rightfully so have gone beyond their REYR date. So that should not be confused. They should look at their dates and get those updated. So going forward, I was directed that each district follow their procedures for updating it, but reaching out to their where did I put it? Their DSO should coordinate through their DSO IS, and he or she may be able to point you to the DIROCs OTO, the DIROCs designee. Now, with all this being said and done, they may ask for, did I include it here? A supporting documentation. So you may have to provide a copy of the PQS, so provide when emails or whatever is necessary. So that's just something to keep in the back of your mind.
Yep.
And you are absolutely right. 7th district has a help desk. So they follow through on that.
Okay.
That's my spiel, Roland. I hope I didn't put people to sleep, but if are there any questions, I'm willing to entertain them.
Any questions? I think just like you said, poking around in here is really valuable. And I think as Paddlecraft coordinators, we need to do some poking. We need, if we have somebody go into REYR, we need to be able to go in there and see what's going on, whether it's a data problem or something else. But, we should be able to see enough, I think, by poking around in there to see if it's a data problem or if it's a legit issue.
One of the things I'll bring up real quick, if you don't mind, is on the main page of our Aux Home. Can people see that? kind of small.
Yep.
On the main page, there are great reports under this performance measurement that are already canned. One of them was brought up earlier about this training management report. I have a few questions about that, but let me show you what it does. I click on it. I have to sign on. Everybody turn their head around and don't pay attention to my password. But right here, TMR, Training Management Report, AUXDATA. Okay. I click on it. It runs through its deal. Training Management Report says it's done, upper right-hand corner. Where's my dialog box open? Where's that? It's opening up the Training Management Report. This is what that canned report looks like. The bottom of the page. And this can help out your flotilla commanders or your IT or whoever else in your flotilla. But we are just paying attention to us folks. AUXPAD. This gives you some concept of folks within your division, your district, and the workshops that they're yellow on, the QE approval. Although I have questions about this, I'm still looking at it, and you may want to poke around as well. Your risk management stuff, your TCT, but this kind of gives you a good idea of what's going on with your AUXPAD world. Let's see, I'm just picking on you, Donna, since 07. There. So a few folks in there, Donna.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that gives you some place to look at. So for things, and it doesn't only have to be AUXPAD; it could be other stuff.
Yeah. Well, you guys know because I sent you an email questioning why we all went into REYR status a month ago. I mean, it was, so I did because I do look into it. I knew we were all coming up. Now, Don's also because his NAV rules 95 that's the reason he's still showing.
Right. And like I said, we've been looking at this since early February, and I know a little bit about computers. I was able to look behind the scenes. I don't know the data entry portion of it. If I knew a little bit more about the data entry, and I'd find what's called a mapping, what's on the screen that you enter to where it goes in the database. And I don't know that background. So, but it's all good. And the more we know, the more we help each other, better we are. And the reason why I point this one out is because it says I'm in REYR because my approval date was the 18th. I showed you earlier today that I'm in green because my latest record was. So this report's a little squirrely. So.
Joey, how did you, can you back up and show how to get to this report again?
Will do. So I'm going to start from the Aux Home. You go to Aux Home.
Yep.
Right? Directorates. Performance measurement.
Management, yeah.
Yep.
TMR. Training Management Report. If you haven't done it, run these other reports. They are wonderful. For those folks that are AUXCT in red, this core training is wonderful. But this Training Management Report's what I clicked on. And I click on the clipboard to run it, and it'll run it again. So if you notice, mine was 2. Give it a couple minutes, and it'll bring it up. Dialog box. It's still doing its magic. It's still working it. And bingo. And you can save it, manipulate it, do whatever you wish. And we can go look at AUXPAD. So right away, you can see those folks that need the, oops, clicked on the wrong thing. Need the operations, QE approval. Like I said, that's still a little squirrely. TCT. So it's a real quick look to get a general sense of where we are. Any questions?
A little
If
bit,
not-
little bit different on that, Joey. Whenever you back up, I asked about the handbook, and Roland mentioned about the directorates. Now I'm on my iPad and I have my computer open. Whenever I opened it back up, it is still showing in draft. So did I go to the,
Joey, do you want to walk through how to find that for Donna?
Sure. RBS outreach.
mm-hmm,
Yep.
Learn about auxiliary paddlecraft.
yep,
AUXPAD safety handbook.
okay. And then open it up. Scroll all the way to the back pages. See the draft? That's
Gotcha.
my, right there.
I got you. And basically they missed it. I mean, what can I tell you?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this has been signed off on and it's
So
posted.
that's my question. Are we able to do, because see,
Yes.
I've gone to that, but it's still showing as draft. So before I put, because I've got everybody, we're putting together books so that we can start signing off as we're doing training. And I want to make sure that we're using, because I don't have anything that does not have that draft on it.
Let me see if I can get that fixed. We've got the original document, so if we can, this should be an easy thing to take care of. We've got a couple of things. This is kind of a bad time because Robin's had surgery a couple of days ago. But I mean, if anybody questions it, it's what's posted, and it's what we're working with.
Okay. Either that, or can you send out to those of us that are qualifiers so that whenever we're working, that we're having, I mean, because you must be using a document that doesn't have that draft on there, correct?
What I've done is I've taken these. I actually find that this is kind of awkward to work with in the format that it's in. And so I've restructured it for my purposes. That's kind of got all the ACA stuff on one section, and then the non-ACA stuff on another section. But it's the same items. So you don't have to use these pages. What you have to do is satisfy all those criteria.
Yeah. And I guess
I can share what we put together, and I think I think we ought to be able to get this document replaced up there, but
okay.
this document's not very easy to work with in the form that it's in, I don't think.
Okay, I just want to be consistent, trying to, like like we've discovered with other, because we're different division or different districts or whatever, but I'm trying to make sure that we're using the same as everybody else, so that we don't run into a problem. Our Dirox doesn't see that and then not understand that that's where it came from, and then we run into a problem. So trying to be preventive.
So there's two things I could do, one or both. I can try to get this document reposted with the draft taken off of it, and I will try to do
that's
that.
the ideal.
And I also can give you what I think is a more workable version. And what I like to do is work with it in Word and then create the PDF after all the entries are in there. And it's got all the same, I mean, anybody can do it, but it's a pain in the butt to do it. So if you want to use the one that I did, you're welcome to work with that too.
Okay, because I know some of it a coxswain has to sign off on, and for the. So
May I suggest that Donna, that you contact Charles, because I thought Charles created exactly our document that Roland's referring to.
Yep.
And so I believe he may have a copy of the document that we actually use in D5, because it has specific, he has the OTO's name, Charles's name, and it goes up a signature level from the QE the Paddlecraft Coordinator to the OTO.
Okay.
So I think Charles may have a copy that.
Yeah, this is really
I have
Charles-
talked to him
Charles's
about it.
wheelhouse.
He hasn't offered that. So, but I'll go back and ask specifically if he does send it to me.
That's all for what I have for the REYR. If folks have questions, want to talk more offline, I willing to do so, but that's what I had to cover. Yeah, Guy, what's up?
Well, since we got this document up, I just want to see if I can clarify something.
What
This
are we
3-year
finished? Are we finished with the REYR question?
Well, it's related.
Okay.
That document there, when it's signed off, is your proof of your 3-year.
Mhm.
This same document's good for Paddlecraft Operator and AQ. It's just, I think, one field that's different, that you're ACA certified instructor.
Right.
So if you're signed off as AQ for your 3-year, ideally your Paddlecraft Operator one should be updated too, because you've completed all the same tasks. It's the same form.
So
You should
when
give
we,
one
when
thumb
we
up to
send it
that.
into our OTO, we indicate that. If there's
It
a data
updates both.
entry problem, that's something that's happening at the OTO level.
Ideally, it's updating both your Paddlecraft Operator status
Yeah,
and
yeah.
your
So,
AQ status.
yeah, so the letter that we send in says that everything's been signed off for both.
Okay.
Unfortunately, what happens is we're all human. Things are
Yeah.
missed, and I'm bringing up this record in particular because everybody should have a competency that's an AQ. They should both have an AQ, and they should have.
The operator.
But if you notice, this guy's doesn't. And what happened is it slipped through the cracks.
Mhm.
And so exactly that. I'll bring up like Rollins and myself, and we all have we all have the both the operator and the QE. So what you're saying is absolutely
Mhm.
correct, Guy. If you notice that the operator, and it's just a matter of making sure we get that point across to the OTO.
Because, sometimes somebody will ask a question, well, I don't see your Paddlecraft Operator certification. My AQ one covers that.
Right. And there again, that's let me bring up his record. As you see, I've done a lot of digging with this, and one of the ones that Robert Ivy.
Yeah.
Bob Ivy is in my district. I'm bringing up his record only to show that his PQS, the same thing would apply, and it went to both of them. So you're absolutely right. They should apply to both.
Mhm.
Did that answer your question then? Yeah.
Yes.
So I think, Joey, I think that was really, really helpful. I learned a lot, and I think we can all use a little more exposure to how to read this stuff in AUXDATA. And then I think you've really clarified how to fix it, or at least got us on the path. What I think I'd like to do is turn off the recording, and I think if there's any other discussion people want to have, that's great. If not, Guy and Joey and I have a follow-up topic that we want to talk about that's unrelated, I think. Are there any other